Haisai, Wanne Sid Yaibing, Chaganju. Welcome everyone, I'm your host Sid. I hope you're staying safe and that your health is good. Thanks for your continuing interest in this channel. Please help out this channel by subscribing. Click on that red subscribe ball in the lower right. Also, share this video with others via email, Facebook, Twitter, or some other social media. This is one way you can help this channel to grow the number of people that speak Uchinaguchi. The background today is the Okinawan event called the Tsunahiki. What you see is the rope used in the Tsunahiki, which is a tug-of-war event. Although there are several Tsunahiki events in Okinawa, the main one is the Naha Tsunahiki held around October 10 every year. This event is said to have started in 1450. The rope is handmade and is 560 feet long and weighs over 40 tons and is in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's longest rope. People who are positioned on the east side represent the male rope and the west side represents the female rope. The rope is ceremoniously joined and then the tug-of-war begins. There are many small ropes tied to the main rope for people to pull. Typically 15,000 people participate and pull for 30 minutes. At the end, whichever side moves the middle of the rope to their side wins. After the event, the rope is cut into pieces and people take it as souvenirs. Today's topic is Okinawan surnames. Okinawans are part of the nation of Japan, but their surnames are unique to its prefecture. Okinawa was actually an independent nation called the Ryukyu Kingdom until it was invaded by the Satsuma domain in 1609. It was a vassal state under Satsuma until 1879 when it was annexed by Japan and became Okinawa Prefecture. So although Okinawa is part of Japan, it has its own unique history and its own language. With that, it also has its own unique last names. Generally speaking, Okinawan last names are mostly unique to Okinawa, although there are a handful of surnames that are also common to mainland Japan. Here are the 5 most common last names by prefecture. As you can see, the different prefectures have pretty much the same surnames that dominate the top 5. For your general knowledge, there are 291,129 Japanese surnames. The top 10 surnames reflect the names of 10% of the population, and the top 100 surnames reflect 33% of the population. Now look at the top 5 surnames for the Okinawa Prefecture. The 5 most common last names in Okinawa are nowhere to be found in the top 5 list in mainland Japan. No Higas, no Kinjos, Oshiros, Miyagis, or Arakakis. It's not even in the top 200 of any other prefecture. I would even guess it's not even in the top 1,000 of any other prefecture. As you can see from the table, most surnames are common throughout mainland Japan except Okinawa. No Tanakas, Suzukis, Yamamotos, Satos, Takahashis in the top 1,000 in Okinawa. That is not to say that each prefecture does not have some unique surnames. However, there are only a handful that are unique to any one prefecture. Only Okinawa has almost all its surnames unique to only Okinawa. Japanese surnames generally use kanji, which Okinawan surnames usually lack. Generally speaking, Japanese surnames consist of 2 kanji characters and contain at least 1 nature character in the surname, and sometimes 2 nature-related kanjis. Some example kanjis used in the most common surnames in mainland Japan are Ki, which means tree, Yama, which means mountain, Kawa, which means river, Mura, which means village, Ta, which means rice paddy, Shima, which means island, I, which means well, To, which means wisteria, No, which means field. I have also provided some example last names for these characters. These characters can be combined with another noun kanji or an adjective kanji to create a surname. Some example adjective characters are small as in Ogawa, big as in Oyama, blue is in Aoki, black is in Kuroda, fast is in Hayakawa, middle as in Nakajima, west in Nishimura, north as in Kitano. In general, Okinawan names contain kanji that Japanese surnames would not use. Mainland Japanese usually have difficulty reading Okinawan names and would not recognize it as a Japanese name. The difference in the kanji used for last names makes Okinawan names different from mainland Japanese surnames. There is also some history as to why Okinawans use different kanjis for their surnames. In 1625, the Satsuma domain prohibited the use of same kanjis used by mainland Japanese by Okinawans for common surnames. The prohibition was called the Yamato Meikitaru Myoji no Kinshi. So, if Okinawans had the same last name, Okinawans had to choose different kanjis for their name. For example, the last name Maeda is written with these characters in Japanese, but in Okinawa is written with these kanjis. Okinawans used a kanji for each phonetic sound. I believe that this is one reason that the frequency of 3-character kanji last names is much higher in Okinawa than mainland Japan. The number of identical last names between Japan and Okinawa were few, and it only applied to aristocracy since commoners at that time did not have last names. This prohibition applied to just a small number of surnames since the vast majority of Okinawan surnames are unique to Okinawa. It did, however, set the tone for Okinawans to know that they were not allowed to use the same kanji if the name already existed in mainland Japan. As I mentioned earlier, the Ryukyu Kingdom was forced to become a Japanese feudal domain by the Meiji government in 1872 and became known as the Ryukyu Han. It was then formally annexed by Japan in 1879, and Japan changed the name from Ryukyu Han to Okinawa Ken. If you remember, my opinion was that the prefectural name should have been Ryukyu since there was already an island group called Okinawa and an island called Okinawa. However, the prefectural name Okinawa was selected by Japan. However, I digressed. Ryukyuans were then entered into the Japanese family register system called the Koseki. And as in Japan, surnames were extended to all people. Until that time, only the aristocracy had surnames with a small number of commoners. A large number of names created at this time were taken from geographical locations. Let's look at the type of kanji used in common Okinawan surnames. Shiro, which means castle. Ma, which means space. Mine, which means peak. Kazu, which means count. Ya, which means house. Ku, which means long time. Ha, which means supremacy. Ka, which means praise. Ha, which means wave. Tama, which means jewel. Ra, which means fine. So you can see even the kanjis used in the most common names in Okinawa differ from the kanjis used in the most common names in mainland Japan. I am basing this statement on the 200 most common names in both Japan and Okinawa. Now, I know someone will find a name in mainland Japan that uses one of the Okinawan surname kanjis, but it will probably be from a very uncommon name. 1/3 of Japanese has a name from the top 100 list, and there are 291,000 Japanese surnames. Generally speaking, you can tell if someone is Okinawan by the kanji in their last name and the sound of the name. There are some exceptions like my last name, which could pass for a mainland-style Japanese last name. If Okinawans kept the original pronunciation of their surnames, there would be no question it was Okinawan, even my last name, which would be pronounced Kufasha. Okinawa changed the reading of their surnames to make it sound more Japanese. There are still some Okinawans who have preserved the original Okinawan readings of their names, but the general Okinawan population have adopted Japanese-style readings for their names. I have not been able to research when this occurred, but it probably happened around the end of the 1800s. Okinawans face discrimination by mainland Japanese, so Okinawans changed their surnames to sound more Japanese to fit in. Let's look at the 25 most common Okinawan surnames and see its current reading and its original reading. The original reading will be indicated by asterisk. I will provide other readings if it exists. Please note that the tick indicates the glottal stop. Review video 4 for more information about this topic. The order of the surnames are from the most common to the lesser common. Okay, let's start. I will first say the current reading and then follow up by the original meaning. Higa, Fija, Kinjo, Kanagushiku, Oshiro, Ufugushiku, Miyagi, Miyagishiku, Arakake, Arakachi, Tamaki, Tamagushiku, Uehara, Weebaru, Shimabukuro, Shimabuku, Taira, Teira, Yamashiro, Yamagushiku, Chinen, Chining, Miyasato, Miyajatu, Nakasone, Nakajunu, Shimoji, Shimuji, Teruya, Tira, Sunakawa, Uruka, Shiroma, Gushikuma, Shinsato, Shinjatu, Shinjo, Aragushiku, Asato, Asatu, Uechi, Uichi, Iha, Ifa, Akamine, Akami, Ishikawa, Ishicha, Gushiken, Gushichin. For those of you that are interested, the top 10 Okinawan surnames comprise the last names of 22% of Okinawans, and there are around 3,000 different Okinawan surnames. Are you curious about the native reading of your Okinawan last name? Enter a comment indicating the surname that you would like to know the original reading, and I will make another video for the first 25 name requests if there are 50 likes for this video. Limit of one name per comment per person. For each 50 likes, I will make another Okinawan surname video, 25 names. If you have the kanji characters, that will help, but inquire even if you don't have it. The analysis of the differences of the Okinawan and Japanese surnames are my own, and is based on the 200 most common Japanese and Okinawan surnames. So it may not be reflective of the entire 291,000 surnames. However, that said, the 200 surnames are reflective of over 50% of the population of both mainland Japan and Okinawa. If you have any comments regarding this, please enter it below. If you found this video interesting, please share this video via email, Facebook, Twitter, or some other social media with your family and friends. Also, like if you enjoyed this video. This, along with comments, are the only way I know if the videos were appreciated. So this concludes this video. As always, thank you for viewing. Mata yaasai.